Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to another installment of Scott's Selections here for Monday, June 10th. Just a quick recap of what happened yesterday. We did not have a play of the day. However, in the main game everyone talk about between the Boston Bruins and the St. Louis Blues, we did go 2-0 in that one, as we did recommend the Bruins getting the job done on the road as an underdog, and we did recommend the over 5. Then you had a bunch of hijinks with that late in the third period, but that ended up reaching a total of 6. So we have the best 2 words in sports for the NHL, which will be in Game 7. So I'm excited for that one. I think the Bruins are personally going to win, but I'm happy that we are getting the maximum amount of games possible between a series involving roughly even teams. But with that being said, if you haven't noticed, there is a different backdrop as we broke out the budget here. And now we actually have a decent backdrop here with StatSalt.com and winnersandwhiners.com. So it's nice to finally have that going up. What's up, Big X? What's up, Paul? How's it going? In terms of today, there is going to be no play of the day. However, I'll do exactly what I did yesterday, and I will cover the big game that everyone wants to talk about, and then I will go through the entire baseball card. Very limited card. You only have X amount of games. Let me just actually check this. There's really just not much to talk about in terms of the game here. You have 10 total games, 1 basketball, 9 baseball. Definitely not the type of card I was looking for on a Monday. But with that being said, you got to deal whatever is given to you. How's it going, Terry? Thanks for joining us. So we're going to dive right into Game 5 between the Golden State Warriors and the Toronto Raptors. Total has been bet up from 211.5 to 214.5, even 215 at Bovada, but it's market wide pretty much at 214.5. And money's poured in on Golden State. Toronto opened up at -3, down to -1.5. And I think everybody knows. How's it going, Alyssa? Thanks for joining us. I think everybody knows why money has come in on the over and on the Warriors. And the main reason, of course, is the fact that Kevin Durant is a game-time decision. And Kevin Durant is expected to play in this game, and he's arguably the best player in the league. So they expect him to have a great, impact offensively, maybe not so much defensively. And they also expect Golden State to potentially prolong this series now that the team is at full strength. I'll put quotes around full strength because I'm still sure that Thompson and Durant will not be at 100%, but it's the first time in a while since the Houston series in which Curry, Thompson, and Durant are all likely to play. And Kevin Looney, despite suffering a fracture, he is expected to play in this game after undergoing some serious medication, which will probably cause him to feel nothing whatsoever during the course of the game. In terms of this game, yes, CR, I agree with you. I would lean to the over, and I'd also lean to the Warriors. For me, I think that this game is very simple. If you think whoever you think is going to win the championship is going to win this game. Now, I know, of course, it sounds like common sense because if Toronto wins this game, they win the championship. But I'm telling you right now, if Golden State wins Game 5, they're going to win Game 6 in Oracle, and I think they're going to win Game 7. So I think that if Golden State wins this game, I think Golden State's going to win the championship. So I think this game's extremely important for both teams, naturally. I think Durant will play well. I think that he will struggle defensively with some of the rotations. He could come out a little bit flat, and I wonder how Toronto is going to guard him. It will either be Kawhi Leonard or Siakam, so that's pretty solid company, but that'll simply just open up more opportunities for Steph Curry, as Lowry will have to guard him pretty much one-on-one. In terms of this game, I'm leaning to the Warriors. I know that I want to believe Toronto's going to win this because I'm tired of Golden State winning every year. But at the same point, until I see the champions lose, I'm going to assume the champions are going to win. And now that Durant's back, I think Durant could probably come back a couple of games sooner. But at the same point, I think that they decided to prolong his return just so Durant would be a little bit more healthy going into, whatever finals game he was going to go into. And I think that Durant right now is probably at 80%, give or take. That's complete speculation, but that's just my opinion. I think Durant will play pretty well. I think he'll provide a spark. In terms of value for this series, I think it makes a lot of sense to sprinkle a little bit of Kevin Durant winning MVP, which is available. I mean, there's a lot of different odds there in terms of, nobody really knows based on the fact of who is going to win MVP. Right now, Durant on 5 dimes roughly plus 3,500. If you shop around, there are different odds available. But I definitely think that if the Warriors are going to win the championship, I think Durant could sneak in there, kind of like how Iguodala snuck in there for MVP in his first year. The team was struggling. Then he came in. He changed the entire scope of the series. I think Durant could have the same exact impact on that one. So I think that at plus 3,500 on 5 dimes, it could be larger at different odds books. I think that's tremendous value. And I think if you actually think the Warriors are going to win the championship, then Durant's going to need to play well for the next 3 games. Curry was great in game three. What game was it? It was game 3 where he dropped 47 points. But at the same point, they still lost by double digits. So you have to wonder how big of an impact he actually had on that. Do I think the Raptors are not going to win the championship? Truth is, I think the Raptors are going to win the championship. Not a bold call at all because they're up 3-1. But I'm simply saying that if you think the Warriors will win the championship, I think there's a lot of value on Durant plus 3,500. And I think that you could also hedge it in terms of game 7, where if Durant does play well in game 5 and 6, then you could simply bet on Kawhi to win the MVP in game 6, and then you have a pretty solid hedge going there. I think that the Warriors will win this game. I think the Warriors will win game 6. Game 7 for me is going to be tough, but at all, I'm not really sure. Guap, I don't really know about the under. I know CR and I are personally leaning to the over. Durant, I expect him to be a little bit flat defensively because he has not seen what Toronto has been doing on the court since he's been watching it from the sideline for the first 4 games. But overall, I understand why the money's coming on the over with Durant. The fact the money's coming 3 points heavy on the over, though, makes me believe the over is going to be the right side. But for me personally, I will lean to Golden State, and I will lean to Golden State plus 1.5. If you do have some books that give you adjusted lines, I know that Bovada gives you adjusted lines as well as 5 dimes. Both books currently have Golden State -1 at plus 110. I don't see the point of taking them on the money line. If you can get the money line right now at roughly plus 102 or minus 105 on Bovada, when you can simply get them at -1 at plus 110. So my personal lean on the game, adjusted spread, Warriors -1 at plus 110. And I'd also lean to the over 214.5. CR, in terms of Wimbledon and tennis stuff, I'll discuss that more as the tournaments approach. I'm leaning to Djokovic personally, but I'll go into that as that tournament approaches and as I get to examine every player on grass during the grass court season. Now, quickly moving into the MLB games today. First game of the Diamondbacks and the Phillies with Clark versus Eichhoff. We were right about the Diamondbacks yesterday as they ended up sweeping the Blue Jays. I lean to the Diamondbacks here. Clark as a rookie has been pretty solid. Eichhoff's been good since he ended up joining the team. But overall, I don't think the Phillies should be a -135 favorite in the spot. Arizona, I know that Toronto's not a good team, but Arizona has definitely looked good lately. And Philly has looked decently. They ended up being unable to close out a sweep against the Reds yesterday as they ended up losing with Aaron Nola on the mound. Eichhoff's good. I don't really like the Phillies bullpen. I definitely like the Diamondbacks and how they're playing at this point in time. I will lean to the Diamondbacks. I think the Diamondbacks should be roughly a plus 120. And I think that right now at roughly plus 125, I think there is value on the Diamondbacks. So I will lean to the Diamondbacks on that one. Moving on, you have the Mets and the Yankees. I was leaning to the over 9.5 here at -105. But Vargas has actually pitched really well lately. I know it hasn't been against great teams, but I still like the way that he's been pitching. Tanaka has not looked great lately. The Yankees are currently at -190. I know they got a big win against the Indians in extra innings on Sunday, as Didi Gregorius almost choked away the game with an error in the 9th before Aaron Hicks had an RBI double to give them the lead that they never relinquished in the 10th. But in terms of this game, the Mets look good over the weekend. Tanaka's not looked good lately. I'm actually going to lean to the Mets on the money line for value here. Mets are roughly plus 170. There's no way they should be plus 170. Mets have been a very streaky team all season long, and the Mets have looked good, and even in the weekend they did look good. So for me, I think the Mets should be roughly plus 150. They're at plus 170, plus 175. I'd lean to the Mets on the money line and the Mets plus 1.5 if you're a little bit afraid. As a Yankees fan, I do like the fact that people are getting healthy, but Tanaka hasn't looked good. Team hasn't looked good in the last week, and the Mets are coming into the series off of a solid performance against the Rockies over the weekend, so I will lean to the Mets on that one. Moving on, Cardinals and the Marlins. In terms of this game, I will lean to the Cardinals, but I am personally going to skip this game. Walker's back in the rotation. They open up a -125 up to -137. Alcantara's been okay. His ERA is below 4. His record's not great, whereas Walker's record's good, but his ERA is not great. For me, I know that baseball individual games aren't really impacted by games that happened the day before, But if you're the Marlins, you blow a 4-run lead in the ninth against the Braves, and then you lose in extras, and I believe they got swept. Cardinals did get swept by the Cubs, but it was in Wrigley, and I kind of give them a pass on that one. But I don't really understand how the Marlins can come back from blowing a 4-run lead yesterday in the ninth inning and then choking it away. 8.5 is a relatively low total between these two. However, it is in Marlins Park, so I understand why that is relatively low. CR, if you want to take the over in that one, I definitely would understand that, especially with the Marlins bullpen being at less than full strength because they had to use a decent amount of relievers yesterday in the extra innings game. But overall, I'd personally lean to the Cardinals. I'm gonna have a small lean to the under here, just because I think that this game will be relatively low scoring. But that's just a personal hunch. I'd lean to the Cardinals in that one. Moving on, you have the A's and the Rays. A's had a thrilling 9-8 win yesterday as they almost choked away a multi-run lead late in the game, but they ended up splitting the series, I should say, against Texas as Montes got another win. You have Anderson making a season debut against Morton. Morton is still undefeated. I believe he's 6-0 with a sub-3 ERA. I have to lean to the Rays, but there is no value there because they're roughly minus 220. In terms of this game, I'll lean to the first 5 under here. Morton's been great. Anderson is a new pitcher, so he's kind of hit or miss. But at the same point, the Rays have not seen him before. I think he could pitch pretty well. I think Morton will pitch pretty well. So I will lean to the first 5 under in that one in Tropicana. Moving on, you have the Red Sox and the Rangers. Totals been bet down from 8.5 to 7.5 with Minor versus Sale on the mound. In terms of this game, I understand why money's coming on the under. It has to do with the fact that Chris Sale looked remarkable in his last start. Minor's been pretty solid this season. I know the wind is going to be blowing out heavily to left field, so keep that in mind with the monster. But for me, I'm going to have to lean to the Red Sox, of course. I'll lean to the Rangers' first 5 team total under, and I'll lean to the Sale over in strikeouts. The Rangers are a very good hitting team, but they do strike out a lot as they tend to rely on the long ball. I think Sale will pitch well. I think he'll strike out 12 guys. I'll lean to the over in the Sale strikeout prop as my main lean. Moving on, you have the Braves and the Pirates. This was actually in consideration for play of the day. I like the Pirates here in terms of value at roughly plus 130. These two teams literally played each other last week. Gausman got shelled, pitched 5 innings, gave up 7 runs, where Musgrove pitched 8 innings and gave up 3 runs. So they literally just faced each other, and Musgrove got the better of these two in this matchup. Yet, for some reason, the Braves are roughly minus 140. I know that that's because of the fact the Braves are better at home than they are on the road, and they're coming off a thrilling win against the Marlins. But I do like Musgrove. I think he is the better pitcher than Gausman. Gausman's looked awful the entire season, so I think there is value on the Pirates in this one. And I personally think Josh Bell will go deep, so I'd lean to his player prop over in hits, runs, and RBIs. So I will lean there with the Pirates. Moving on, you have the Nationals versus the White Sox with Sanchez versus Despagne. In terms of that game, I lean to the over 10.5. I don't want to back Anibal Sanchez at all. Despagne is making his first start of the season in the MLB. He has been around for multiple years. He was on the Padres for a little while in the early part of his career. Definitely not a great pitcher by any means, but I would lean to the over 10.5 there. Moving on, you have the Cubs and the Rockies with Marquez versus Darvish. I lean to the Rockies in that one. Very small lean. Cubs have looked really solid lately, and they ended up sweeping the Cardinals over the weekend, but I simply just don't trust Yu Darvish, and I am a big Marquez fan. I think Marquez is a tremendous pitcher, so I will lean to the Rockies in that one. Moving on, you have the Dodgers and the Angels. Lean to the Dodgers minus 1.5. Ryu right now is the NL Cy Young Award winner, 9-1 with a 1.35 ERA. Cannings look decent so far this season, but the Dodgers have been rolling, and I'm not getting in their way. So I'll take the Dodgers minus 1.5 on that one. But before we conclude today's video, quick reminder for sponsors here with PointsBet, online sportsbook in New Jersey. A couple of deals that are relevant today, up to 2 risk-free bets of up to $1,000. So if you end up betting on Toronto money line tonight, hypothetically, and you end up losing, you get your money back. So you don't have to worry about making up that $1,000 deficit. And they also have a deal for the NBA Finals tonight. If you take a money line bet and your team is up after 3 quarters, you can cash that money line bet and don't have to worry about choking it away in the 4th quarter, which is definitely a great promo for a book to have. With that being said, that's going to over this installment of Scott's Selections here for Monday, June 10th. Good luck to all of you and your respective bets today. I lean to the under in the Dodgers game also, Guap. That's just my personal opinion. But with that being said, bye, everyone. Good luck, and I hope to see all of you again later tonight. Bye, everyone.